Good afternoon. Okay, let's see if I can be succinct. I was going to read or explain or share what the word allodial means and link it to the notion and make a distinction between a corporate citizen, which is what citizens of the United Kingdom are, and as opposed to being a British subject or being British or being more or being national or even a living man and woman. None of those aforementioned have none of the aforementioned have, or they do have, access to international treaty and the British Constitution, okay? Common law, Bill of Rights, whatever it might be. So I'm going to do that, actually. I'm going to distinguish. I'm going to quickly sort of say what allodial is and means. With a few notes. Okay, so it means free, not holden of any lord or superior, owned without obligation or vassalage or fealty, the opposite of feudal. Feudal means pertaining to feuds or fees. Emphasis on the fees here for me. Relating to or growing out of the feudal system or feudal law, having the quality of a feud as distinguished from allodial. So one of the things about allodial was free. There is a notion of allodial titles. That means titles that are free from any lord and free from any feudal or any of the jurisdictions that are inherent within a feudal system. Okay. Under a feudal system, as an example, you are considered a citizen. You are not considered, therefore, free. So that's one of the ways in which I want to make it to be able to emphasize or to illuminate or to give meaning to the word allodial. Now I'm going to try and link it to the notion of being British. Now, being British means, or being American. This is not the right word for this continent, if you like, or part of the continent, Australia. Now, it is the descendants of the original people. So for Britain, it would mean the original descendants of, or the descendants of original Jacobites, Moabites, Canaanite people. Further reading Jacobite gleaning. There's lots of books out there that will explain what a Moabite, the Canaanite, who the Moabites and Canaanite people are, you know, as indigenous peoples. Let me just quickly say this actually. A phrase was shared that I've come across, and it was, yes, we're all African. Everybody on the planet, yes, we're all of African descent. But we not all, not everyone emerged from Africa. Okay? All of African descent, all brothers and sisters, but we didn't all emerge out of Africa. Not all. Many, yes. And in the case of Britain, what we are talking about is a covenant which connects with Allodial title, i.e. free, i.e. free from any lord, free from any impediments, liens, infractions or impingements on that allodial title, which is also connected to birthright, which is also connected to your descendancy, which leads back to, in this instance in Britain, the covenant that was made between the Most High, and it goes back to Moses as well, actually, but it was made with Isaac. And we have an account of this in, I'm going to re-describe this as actually not the King James Bible, because it wasn't King James that it was written about. It was Prince James, who later became King James. Okay, Prince James. And it's been suggested very strongly that basically that the James version of the Bible was written about James. You know, the notion of Jesus is him, James, for this part of the world. Absolutely. Not absolutely. But that is what it was written, it was commissioned. He didn't commission it, evidently. It was written about him. It's his story, which again goes back to verify the notion of Britain being a covenant land and who that covenant and with whom that covenant was made between. Okay, which therefore leads back to Allodial. Okay, so it's going to be quite important in times to come. It's important now, not in times to come, for people to know the nationality. Now, this is not because I am saying so, but it is so that you know where you stand if someone decides they want to deport you to Rwanda, as an example, or I don't know, or claims to be Ukrainian, or if they're Ukrainian and are wanting to move on to or live in or around your estate or your property. As a UK citizen, United Kingdom citizen, you are obliged to do what that corporation says it wants you to do as a citizen, because that's that's the jurisdiction under which you sit. A living man and woman, sovereign or national, British more, British, not at all. It's not a case in the case of not so much, not at all. So I just wanted to hopefully that brings a bit of clarity to the word, excuse me, allodial, and provides a bit of context and a bit of history, historical context to it too. Again, not my opinion, and hopefully I've said it without any emotion. I try to be not emotional about it. I'm not dealing with any notions of race or racism, anything like that. It's got nothing to do with that. This is to do with, I don't know how I was going to say right or wrong, but it is about birthright, that's for sure. And challenging those that have claimed my birthright and allodial title under the guise of, under many guises, but definitely under operations that go back to the 9th century in some instances, and these operations are still being played out today. What we've described as the Spanish Inquisition continues to this day. It's an Inquisition, it's a rooting out, it's a destroying of, it's a moving on, it's trafficking of peoples, and stealing of their birthrights, allodial titles, hereditaments, and claiming no descendability, or claiming descendability for themselves, but they're operating as imposters and foreign occupiers on these lands. Who am I talking about? Well, those that will classify themselves as European, the original Europeans, and this can be, again, you can go check this out for yourself. Jacobite Gleanings gives you some information. Books on heraldry are going back to, is it all hereditary? Hereditary. Can't say the word. It's heraldic shields. These are shields that are family shields. Back as far back as the 9th century and before, anything from the 9th century up to about the 18th century, you'll find across Europe, this is, they're all melanated people. They're all dark-skinned people, which shows you, one, the true nobility and the true indigenous of Europe, but it also shows you the depth of the deceit and lies and cover-up that's taken place, which is coming out all over the shop right now, that's taken place to hide that fact. So, and also for me at the moment, even though a lot of this information is apparently well known, people still carry on as though as normal. That there's no need to change anything that we're doing, anything at all. And that's on both the side of both the melanated people and for those that would call themselves European or white European. No change. Those consider themselves to be English, absolutely no change. No change, no desire to change things, even in the face of the horrors that history says about the ways in which allodial titles, birthrights have been taken, stolen, impersonated, mischaracterized, and adopted, actually, by those that would call themselves English, white European. On that note, may your ERP remain strong. It's going to need to be. In times to come. More, with more, and it won't be just from me to be revealed. Till the next time.